Does swearing hold any symbolic meaning, explaining why it is avoided by Christians? Put another way, is there a common pattern between swearing to make people laugh versus swearing out of anger? I think swearing is a very, very interesting subject. It is extremely interesting, especially the religious word swearing. Not just like the cursing. Like not just saying dirty words. But of course that is also related to it. But you can understand it more in terms of using God's name in vain, or saying things like damn, or saying things, in Quebec, we have a whole culture of using church words in swearing. So people use every single word: tabernacle, chalice, it's like sacristy. They use the word, it's like every single thing in a church, and of course they'd use the name of Christ, and in English you have people use the name of the Mother of God in vain, you would say. And so there's a relationship. There's an interesting idea. This is something that I've been trying to kind of point you guys to in terms of trying to understand the incarnation and trying to understand the mystery that Christ brings to us, is how there's a relationship between death and glory. I keep trying to show you that, and I don't want you to confuse the two. I don't want you to think that death and glory, if you're in the world of death, that's not good. It's bad. It's very bad. But you have to understand the way that people kind of flip out of it, the way that Christ kind of brought us out of death through death is something which you see happen at all kind of levels. In my last video, I talked about, the relationship between the Ark of the Covenant and this kind of weird groin cancer that was developed in these growth in the hidden parts that were developed by the Israelites, and how they had to make golden hemorrhoids, golden aspects and mice and return the ark to the temple in order to kind of be healed from their disease. It's all related. And so the idea that when you are in a moment of passion, when you're in a moment where meaning breaks down and you lack words to let's say you lack words to express what is happening, then you would use these church words in a distorted and perverse way, because there's this weird relationship between the lowest and the highest. There's a very strange connection between the two. And I talked about this in terms of the crown of thorns, in terms of a whole bunch of symbolism which is in Christianity. And so this is why, this is why you could say, like, if you imagine how when the Roman soldiers are insulting Christ, you can imagine that that's the same when someone is swearing, when someone is using the name of Christ or the name of the Virgin Mother, or just using God's name in vain, that they are mocking, that they are treating as nothing, right? They're acting as if these holy things are just nothing, and you connect them to your passion, to some lack of, giving up on words, almost like an onomatopoeia, almost like a grunt. That you could see how that is what the Roman soldiers are doing, and Christ is taking that and bringing it back into the highest, bringing it back into the holy place. So it's related as well to, I talked about this idea of the nakedness in the garden, and the nakedness of shame, right? The nakedness of Adam in the garden, and the nakedness of Noah drunk in his tent, right? That they're the same. They're like the same thing, but they're at the opposite ends of each other. They're one is at the beginning, one is at the end, and then Christ takes that and flips it, right? He's naked on the cross, being persecuted, being mocked. All of that is happening, but he is changing the nakedness of Noah into the nakedness in the garden. So that is also, the pattern of swearing has to do with this pattern as well. It's just something inevitable. So don't swear, guys. It's not good for your soul.